It feels like our fans are right there with us, cruising down the information superhighway.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Can you hear me? And can you see me? It is wonderful to see everybody here today. Let's just see who's all in here. Hijab, good to see you. King of Fire, Rian, Andreas, Griso, Alice, Sarosh, the God himself, Punk Ghost. Hey. It is wonderful to see everybody. Ray, it's good to see you. This is going to be a fun day. We're going to do two things at once. Spife, how are you doing? Sebastian. Wonderful, wonderful to see everybody with me today. I think I don't, unfortunately, it kind of went past it already, but I don't know what theme that I'm actually using, but I wonder if, I think it's just the basic one as far as, oh, thanks. That's nice to hear, Krista. Thank you. Beth, good to see you there. Glad to see everybody. I think these streams are wonderful, personally. Oh, you know what I have to do? I do apologize. Let me do one little thing. Just so that when people do watch this after the fact, because I know some people like to do that, they can, in fact, see what we're talking about, right? So there we go. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if it has anything to do with the look of it, with the fact that I'm in the orbiter right now. Do you see how the background kind of blends into that? But that being said, where do you even find that? I don't think I've ever changed it. So whatever it gave to me in the beginning, I think I never changed it because I didn't know necessarily where it was to change. But if you'd like to instruct me, I'd be happy to show you. I do lore, not not anything else. That's just me. You can see from my gameplay. It's obviously, I'm not doing master runs. It's in the settings. I think I've seen that before. There you go. Is that it? Let's see. We've got some other people in here. Jay, Shotgun, good to see you as well. Did I get it? Oh, okay, cool. There we go. Okay, nice. So, now I will say this: there is a particular viewer of the stream who comes in here very frequently and is consistently very generous with gifting memberships. Gemma, and last evening in the member stream, they'd asked about essentially helping them out to get to the steel path and whatnot. If they show up today, I would like to help them do that while we are talking about. No, I didn't see the new 1999. Is that the bite of 19? It is, as a matter of fact. You can see it right there. I have which that's what I was going to say, especially because it doesn't look like Gemma's here yet. If anybody has if they have a code worm they wanna get in on, we could probably get one done pretty quickly. All I have to do, I think I only have one more run through. Yeah, I'm at 85%. So. Absolutely, Race. Without question. Makes the UI look like the palm too. I'll have to check that out. Okay. So we're gonna have more than enough help. They will have no problem getting where they need to go. Now let's just do our gotta do a quick check of the back room just to see if we can get a particular pose. That's what we're looking for. Kind of right up there. Come on. Oh. I suppose I could do this on stream real quick, but I do want to have it for and this is going to hurt me, just so you know. But I've been saving this because I didn't want to do it at all, but I do want to go through and get some more of the dialogue, kind of do some different choices, and maybe even have a different person to date and whatnot or whatever. So, oh yeah, on the roof. Diego, good to see you. But I want to get an actual recording of this anyway. It hurts me because I don't really want to break up with Eleanor. But I kind of want to get. I need what happens to be, on record here. So, oh wow. Can we just do all of them? Bloop. I'm sorry if I didn't respond to them earlier. I don't know why. Maybe it's. Oh, I know why. I was doing the quests this week, and again, I said this to chat last night, I guess I'll just say it to all you as well who didn't get a chance to hear this. I know that I said that I had a video coming out last week, and I had every intention of doing that, but the original video that I had planned, as I kept digging in bits by bits to get a little bit more research for what I wanted to say, I kept seeing more and more stuff that I wanted to incorporate, which increased the scope and the scale of the project by like a lot. So like whereas the original plan was for it to be roughly about a 5 to 6, even 7 page script, which would have been roughly anywhere from a 30 to 45 minute video, even depending on how much cinematic stuff I needed to incorporate. But it's sitting now at 15. So the next video is going to be a lot longer, but I hope you'll enjoy it a lot more because of it, because it's going to encapsulate a whole bunch of additional stuff. The members last night actually got access to kind of a preview of coming attractions. I didn't reveal everything that I'm going to present, but they got to see kind of the scope and scale of everything, and we actually played through a couple quests in their entirety together to see how the pieces fit together. So super fun, but just wanted to say that so you understand that I wanted to have stuff out, but it just keeps getting a little bit better and better. So I want to give something, instead of putting something out and then regretting that I didn't add this, that, and the other thing in. Like, I just figured it's just better off to, increase the scale. So just wanted to put that out there. I know. Actually, I have tried Atlas Fallen Rain of Sand, amazingly enough. It's actually a pretty cool game, to be honest. Well, a lot of information's been, kind of released too, as of late. And especially when going back and playing through a couple of the other quests, it just didn't necessarily... It didn't feel right not to add in all the little details that because there's a lot of stuff. But with that being said, let's first start off with a bit of what we know about the lyrics. Now, what I can do, if you'd all like, I can probably put the song on. So it should be right on and I just want to say, I wasn't trying to coerce you into joining. We have a lot of fun, and that's kind of like the little things that we do, there. But if you want to join, there's a little button, like right there by the channel, the subscribe thing. Feel free. It's it's fun. We have a lot, and it's a lot more. I can do a lot of kind of interesting things in a lot smaller environment like that we have. Especially like yesterday was a good example. Like if I was doing what I did yesterday today, I would have all kinds of issues with the video. But because of how it was kind of a smaller audience, the copyright was completely taken away. Basically I didn't get. We got to used all the regular music and got to kind of experience the quests in a cinematic way. So it was fun. Then we got to kind of talk about them as they were going on. Oh, Krisa, yeah. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, in regards to your question about Jade, essentially, there is the dialogue that you get when you go up to um, the area behind Teshin kind of talks about specifically about the Tenno child that went up and was utilizing her, and like how it was kind of almost like a flip, I would say, of what you normally see from the Tenno or the operator Warframe dichotomy, because it's usually the operator who's the one that's calming down the Warframe. But in this instance, it was the operator who was completely like anxietal and whatnot, because they didn't want to do what they were doing here essentially. Um, so it's kind of a, like I said, interesting little addition to the lore. You know that Jade was one of the few that kind of retained knowledge through the old way, at least, of how warframes were created. Well, thank you, Shotgun. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's yeah, that is a shame about that part. I agree with you. But and I you know you guys know me. I don't have any connections to Warframe whatsoever. I just like the game. But so what I wanted to get into with the song here today specifically is that I think we can come to like a legitimate, at least, idea of what they were referring to. But it's based upon a couple different pretenses. And I think it actually might answer a bunch of other questions about the greater Holvania kind of establishment, if you will, what's going on. Because I made mention of something last night during the streams. And hey, Highlander, how are you? You know what? Let's do a visual real quick of what I'm referring to. Oh, here we go. She does talk a lot, I'll tell you. Excuse me. Sorry. Gotta take some care of something there real quick. So, what I was going to say is when it comes to Rel and his quote unquote other, there is, first of all, there's a possibility, and hear me out on this one, that, and I've said this kind of before, but like, I don't exactly know how Rel has powers, right? But it seems as though Rel has the ability very quickly, before any other operator, essentially, if you really think about it, to control their own power set, like without just kind of going off into the whole, like they're the first ones that are actually like stoic in the way that they essentially operate. Um, and I wonder if, because of that, either Rel was, in a way, because the indifference was attached to it too, that aspect of it was kind of like just slightly barriered off, like just enough. And I think we're going to find at some point, we're going to have to find at some point, that there has to be another entity involved that the story has not yet introduced. There has to be. Because there's only a few people that we know of that can provide warframes. Warframes don't just manifest without the necessary ingredients, let's say, unless we see something like a, which even like a Zaku is more blueprints from 3 different warframes put together in one, kind of like cobbled together. But in the case of Harrow, like, we kind of learn, especially within the dialogue from the Cumulacrum too, that there is all kinds, like, we have a lot more of a better idea of how warframes are created. It's really interesting that they speak about within this newest stuff here that the warframes were essentially created by, injecting this helminth, right? But one of the things that I think it's important to understand, and this is something that I think I at least, and I think a lot of other people may have misunderstood, or at least there's an opening for a different interpretation with Lizzie. Uh, I think I wanted to believe that Lizzie's, infestation and helminth status here, or in Techrot, would mean that the let's say the helminth from our time would have like some kind of cosmic link, if you will, that's how they would be connected, right? So that whenever Lizzie talks to us and tells us that, oh, it's a helminth and whatnot. But then I realized that it was Entrati that took Ballas's helminth formula and gave it to the Proto frames. So it's the same helminth mind with Lizzie as it is with our helminth. So I can still see, I mean, I guess you could say there is somewhat of a cosmic link still involved. But again, that all depends upon our perception of 1999 still, because there's a lot of things that I think still don't quite add up. We actually got into a big discussion last night about we can do, yeah, let's do temple stage defense. Why not? That's a good idea. Let me get another Warframe then if we're going to do that. Let me actually get a proto frame, you know? Otherwise, what's the point? What are we doing? Let's have some fun. Put that on. Yeah. So that's something else that we talked about last night a little bit, and we've discussed a couple times now. So I don't think eternalism happens naturally. Let's see, who did I miss, by the way? Jeff, Ripa, Frank. Did I miss anybody else here? Thank you for showing up here today. Appreciate you being here. Let's do this. Let me quit screwing around. Well, like I said, the problem, it really did introduce to me a wrinkle whenever I start to realize that of two things. First, it's absolute, apparently, that all of the proto frames are going to transform at some point. Hey, Floppy, good to see you. I mean, Temple admits this. Flair admits this. Lizzie admits this. All of them together. Oh, yeah. Such a good song. If anybody wants to follow along to the lyrics of the song, right? Oli Chan, Yoshi, good to see you. Pella. And I agree with that statement, but essentially the idea being that all around us, through different cause and effect, and I think I do think that the void facilitates the access of it from between one existence to another. But what I'm saying is in order for it to be experienced, it has to within our system, at least within the origin system. Like if the Oracle wanted a thing to occur, they would have to enact a force to figure out which aspect of eternalism they wanted to bring back into the origin system. Otherwise, it doesn't serve a purpose, you know? Hey, buddy, hello. But yeah, like I was saying, the lyrics are sitting there. I have a link to them, so if you want to follow along to the song, you know, while it's going on over and over and over and over and over again, and then you can start kind of gathering your own theories on what the actual words mean. That'd be interesting to see if that's like something that we're going to see down the line. The clause brings up that if there's ever going to be like a cure per se. I mean, Entrati, you know, promised a cure, but like, you know, that's not really what happened.
Oh, little Victor whimpers. We made him a fool.
It was all in good fun. Until it wasn't.
So, Frank, that's an interesting. Is that like a "we end as we began" thing? That like that the void began emotion. I don't want to dismiss that right away. There seems like there. Should we have had a Nova? I was thinking about doing Nova.
Enough of this. Ready? A screamer.
Sky, tortured earth, nothing more than everything dies.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't it the lead singer or the one of the guys from Periphery that is actually the screamer's voice? Did somebody say that on stream before? Yeah, it does. Well, I don't know. Okay, so if you don't bring Kaya to, if you don't get the dialogue to go that Kaya goes to 1999, right? The other end of it, she makes mention of the fact that it's probably a good thing that she never figured out time travel, because what it would do to other people going through might be a real big issue, and something to that regard. So I don't necessarily know that it means, you know, that inexorably that if Kaya gets out that anybody can follow. I think that's what we all assume, but like I said, that fail state in the dialogue may actually kind of allude to the idea that Kaya might be the only one who can do it, at least in the way that she does it. And it could be, you know, something that is just synonymous. Why she can do it is because of the Nova and her own innate, like how Kaya essentially assimilates the tech or the helmet as well.
Think that will shut us up?
Because that's the thing with the Warframes, and I think they kind of do make they make it kind of interesting to understand and easier to understand in that the Warframes were particular people. They were Dax or some kind of elite warrior in some way from the Orcan time, right? So they look like how they do, and they have their own power set. But then the Proto frames are these human beings who were then given the very specific helmet batches of their Warframe counterparts. So, like, it's kind of, it's said, no, it's not kind of, it's actually spelled right out in the Cumulacrum that, like, the Proto frames are like a mixture between the originals and, you know, what their personal body physiology and, I don't know, mental state and whatever other thing dictates what a Warframe becomes. So, you know, the other thing to actually wonder is, and check this out, if that's the case, right? That could mean, based upon what Temple says about the fact that at least they absolutely turn into a full-fledged Warframe. One, it means that there is another variation of Temple where he says it too, that Ballas wouldn't even build it. Ballas had the blueprints to build it, but it only became a reality because of essentially Entrati taking the temple Warframe blueprint or helmet blueprint, bringing it to 1999 and injecting it into somebody here. Well, see, okay, so hear me out. I think I'm not sure that there were a ton of criminal Warframes. We have like Calervo, but the other ones all have their own mentality. Now, okay, let me say this. Let me just preface this. Based upon what we have now, DE could introduce any number of additional Warframes that have sentience like Umbra, and oh, we didn't know about this. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we wouldn't have known about Umbra either.
Send in a screamer.
So, I'm just saying, based upon what we know now, like at the moment,
know who you're up against?
there aren't tons of criminals, and they're usually treated extraordinarily poorly by Ballas. But that's just predicated on what we have, like, literally right now, and, you know, that could change super fast. Arch Plumbus, how are you? Well, what I was thinking is, I think this is super cool, too. Like, doesn't it open the door for, like, another variation of these Warframes to be, quote-unquote, introduced into the quote-unquote, future? Like a different variation of Excalibur that has some kind of augmented abilities that is predicated upon what's going to essentially happen to Arthur in the future. Or, you know, the same thing with all of them, really. If how Temple describes things is, you know, is the way. Yeah, but when did they say that? Because wasn't that a long time ago that they said they were going to bring more? That's what we were talking about, I think, last stream, is that I thought they were even going to... They talked about having some kind of thing that you could, like, put onto any frame and make it have Umbra's ability, you know? But that never kind of came to fruition. I mean, I hope we get more Umbra frames. That's my favorite. They're like the best to do quest, like cinematic things with. No, Umbra would not. See, that's the thing. So Umbra is a product of essentially. See, remember, the one thing that makes the Proto frames different is that they were originally infected with tech rot, which is different from the infestation. So their initial jaunt in, let's say, was of a different thing. Not to mention, there's something else that would be different too, because Ballas's Warframes essentially allowed themselves to be assimilated,
Get rid of it.
and as Lizzie describes it at least, essentially become part of the one quicker. Because that's what she says that.
Oh,
So
yeah. Piss off
there's
the
a
toxic
bit of
spore
dialogue
you need
when we talk to
Ballas
Lizzie
well.
about the infested madness and what
Don't
it
mind
is,
getting my
if you
hands
will,
dirty.
because that's we like kind of if you call her out on it, she'll explain that that's not what the infestation thinks of it as. So the thing that basically Ballas believed made all the Warframes failures was to the infestation, or to the Helminth at least,
Didn't you make a mess?
it trying to help them. Well, Lizzie is part of our Helminth. She's taken from the same exact thing. In fact, I would venture to make a guess that Ballas, that Entrati took or stole, depending on how you look at it, specifically from our operator's supposed Helminth, in order to make the connection more, let's say, plausible. Because I think that same thing
Let's flare. What real vocals sound like?
is what was used in the Helminth in the back rooms too.
Heretic, I am your salvation!
Dead next. Bodies.
Well, we got to remember that obviously that the transference bolt wasn't enough, because if that would have been the case, the Warframes would have been perfect warriors. They would have done whatever was asked of them. Well, like I said, there's a really good case to be made that our own Helminth is sitting also within the back rooms as well. It's clearly a different Helminth. But I would wager that if you ask the they would tell you, or at least based upon the data that we get about Lizzie talking about being Helminth, especially whenever we exclaim to her that when we realize who she is. There's dialogue where it literally, like, we're like, Helminth. And she recognizes us too. Like, she knows who we are. But again, you got to remember that within the context of the infestation, apparently what makes the Helminth unique is that they are one, but they are also many. Meaning that, we getting out? All right. They're also many, meaning that they do have their own set of individual goals, but they also act as a whole. Yes, Ballas definitely, the transference bolt that basically allows them to talk to Umbra and whatnot. Yeah, that's a Ballas. That's another Ballas special, at least from what we know. Here, I'll get a Nova. We can go back in. So did you get a chance to read over the...
I am not for novices.
Well, I know, but I mean, again, remember that I think at least we can't all be going through the exact same story. So in a way, even though there are other Tenno, we're all kind of in our own reality, if you will. So in that regard, I would just say one. But I mean, again, Jeff, I will tell you something. I very much appreciate what you have shown me there, but I do not do any type of build videos. That's unfortunately way outside my purview of things. Not because I don't want a great build or for you to give me a great build, more so to the effect of if I put a video out in regards to builds, people that understand builds would know I'm a fraud almost instantly because I don't understand, let's say, the intricacies of how all aspects of Warframe's damage actually hits. So, like, that's one of the main things is whenever, when I go to a build video, if I like get a new weapon or something like that I really, really want to use, but I want to just see kind of what the story is on it up front. Like, they go into all these details about how the modifiers work and how this status does this and over, 200%. If you can get that, allows an additional aspect or thing and blood, and that hits for this amount. And it's just like, hey, I'm going to stick to lore. But I appreciate that very much, just so you know. But I mean, feel free to send me the build. I'd be happy to utilize it in my own free time. Absolutely. So, in speaking about, let's do just a quick thing now that we heard the song over and over and over and over and over and over again. I just want to go through the words again real quick. And then I'm going to let you all in on the piece of information that while I was excited to hear that, because it really does kind of lock down things, especially based upon what I've been looking at in the discussions with Flair and Temples, and Lizzie specifically, it's kind of a letdown. But I think there's a bigger story at play here. So let's first start out with it says, through the eyes of my peers, there's a glare that radiates. Something tangible remains, clear in mind. My head is spinning, gotta gain control. I want what's in my I want what's within my grasp. It's a truth that eludes me. I want what's within my grasp. It's a truth that escapes. So when I first read that part, especially whenever it was talking about, this was like shortly after I got the information about Temple and exactly what Temple's greater purposes, being there at the time with the insurrection and whatnot. My immediate thought was, this is what they're talking about. Through the eyes of my peers, I was thinking that we were either talking about through the eyes of, because, peers are like the people that like you kind of hold yourself against, if you will. Different people in your in whatever business you're in or whatever you do, like the people that you would stack up yourself up against. Those are your peers, right? The people that would, understand the situations who, you would say, okay, I know this stuff a little bit better than them or whatever. I don't know quite as well. Maybe I need to get to their level, things of that nature. So that was my first thought. But then I listened to this latest dev stream, and Rebecca made mention, and she made a specific call out to the idea that this is not a temple song. This is a Temple and the Rippers song. And she actually went out of her way to clarify that that was the case. So that means that this song was written while the Rippers were still alive, which puts a much different spin on what exactly the message is behind this song. Yeah, I can probably do that a little bit there. Hack, I think you're onto it. And I think what they're talking about, I think, let's just go through more of the dialogue or the lyrics. It says, "Doubt there's a place that I can fit with trust wearing thin. I fold like paper airplanes, ready to fly. Fell back down and felt no pain." Says it again. So let me attempt to restructure the mindset of where this is coming from, because I know that there's some stuff at the end that says about disease, but just hold off on making any complete judgments. This sounds more like a song about an oppressive industry, which is, from what we were kind of told, exactly what Temple and the Rippers kind of had to go through to get where they were. And I can't even say for certain, based upon the information that we have within the Simulacrum and the different dialogues, I can't even say for certain that this song was written after he was infected by Entrati. It's actually more likely this was written before. Now, maybe not, I would even say before they got to Holvania. Just based on context of kind of what happened. He became a much greater rock star, but it doesn't say, because of the Helminth, but it doesn't say that they were like not a group beforehand. Furthermore, Entrati had them all killed. I originally believed that it was Victor that had them all killed, but if the context within the Simulacrum is what it is, it seems as though the Rippers died in order to elicit an emotional response. Well, but what I'm saying, God himself, is that if it was written before Lizzie was part of him, I think it's very possible, because it seems like, based upon the information that we got, that the Rippers were enticed to coming into Holvania because they were told about this great experience that they were going to have, right? Well, now don't forget, everybody, that the person who sings, maybe this isn't common knowledge. The person who sings "Lamenting the Days" is a man. That's a guy. It's a guy's voice. And I looked. I mean, he identifies as a guy. It's actually in a really good group called Good Tiger. So it could very well be Flair's voice. And Flair just might have like a really, really like high register voice. Flair wouldn't be the first person. You got, people like Geddy Lee of Rush. You have the dude from Dream Theater. I can't remember what his name is right now. There's all kinds of people of men who. I mean, again, the song is written. It's literally sung by a man. So, with that in regard, like I said, well, that's one concert. Yeah. Yeah. So, Frank, Frank Alada, I think that was the concert. You know how like the Warframes or the Proto frames needed to have like this catastrophic moment to happen within the webcomic to get them going, if you will, to get them turned. Like that, what ended up happening is they were all like assaulted and they all basically were about to die together. And like that is exactly the same type of scenario that Intrati enacted upon Temple, or not Temple. I mean, again, Flair, but the group Temple and the Rippers. That was that was their stage name. Flair's was. So, what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, the information that we're getting within this, especially when I see things like, so this is another thing that kind of made me shift my gaze on this one, especially, like I said, whenever I started to consider that, okay, maybe this song isn't about Warframes. Because there's something else I want to get into right after this about another song that I think I was, and potentially a bunch of us were just slightly off on the origin of where the song came from. But amazingly enough, these two things may actually come to kind of connect in a way. So hear me out. When they're talking about through the eyes of my peers, there's a glare that radiates. I think this is a very 90s kind of thing to say. 90s rock, especially 90s grunge, was legitimately about angst, about like essentially being upset at things and whatnot. And especially within the music scene at that time, it was very prevalent. Things like groups like Rage Against the Machine, Tool, there was all these new groups that were starting to take a more political stance, and they were starting to a really good example of this exact concept, like in practice happening in real time, was when Pearl Jam took on Ticketmaster and essentially didn't do concerts for like years and years because they believed that Ticketmaster was essentially overpricing the people that they wanted to be able to come to their concerts. So they ended up, for a very long time, Pearl Jam wasn't able to tour because the only places they could go to were places that Ticketmaster wasn't expressly associated with, which were usually smaller venues and stuff like that. So they'd have to tour at all these like crazy little places. And what's sad is a lot of people missed Pearl Jam in probably one of the most at least energetic and best parts of their career live, like in the time whenever they were younger and they could really put on a show because of that. So I think at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say here is through the eyes of my peers, I think is referring to the band and the bands of the time, in the fact that they are kind of raging against the establishment in a bunch of different things, against record companies, against like government and everything else. That's the glare that radiates. Now, when they say, I want what's in my grasp, it's a truth that eludes me, and I want what's in my grasp, it's a truth that escapes. I believe they are talking about essentially the dream of all rock stars, essentially to be, this group where you're filling out, 50,000 seat venues every night, and it's you're in control of your own kind of thing. Like now you're getting control of your own back catalog, and you can dictate like where you're going to go, and you can start to dictate the terms of the contracts that you have sign moving forward, because you've made it to the point where record companies and venues and things of that nature, you're so big that you're gonna sell. They have to deal with you now, whereas before, like, they kind of were the ones dictating, hey, what's going on with stuff, right? So and I think, again, now understand, this is in context to the thought that this was written before essentially Flair had influence from Lizzie in any way, okay? And even then, because I'll say another thing here, when you first begin speaking to Flair, it doesn't matter what way that you dictate the conversation. They do not want the infestation in them. They are looking for ways to get rid of it in every way, shape, and form. So they are not embracing the Warframe mentality in any way, shape, or form. So that's another like really important piece of the story I think that we need to add to, is the fact that, like I said, when this song is written, it's very likely that it was when all the band members were all alive. I mean, it's almost certain when the band members were all alive, which would have been before this. And even if it somehow was, put in there in that month or whatever that it took to prepare for Holvania's concert, it's not as though Flair wanted anything to do with it at this point. And this is lyrics written essentially by them specifically. And I think as you even go down here, this exact same concept, while it's hidden again, and I think this is it's purposeful red herring, because I do believe, well, you're going to see what I'm talking about with Party of Your Lifetime, because we got to go back to that one today too. But at any rate, it says, the message went unanswered. I stood alone as the world ended, and you never even replied. The last thing I saw was the glow of a message that never came, then the glow of a world that went away. Right? In this, again, at first glance, you're like, man, this has to do something with either a kinematic message that they received or something to that effect, right? But I've tried every way possible that I can think to incorporate this quatrain here. And it doesn't fit in any way that the story has facilitated up to this point. And thus, I have to then revert back to another, or what I was just thinking about, that this could be the way that they're speaking here. And I need to get into I fold like paper airplanes too, because that and the doubt there's a place that I can fit in with trust wearing thin, that's absolutely the record industry or Hollywood or any one of those industries. You could absolutely say that. And then I really like it's the part where it says, I fold like paper airplanes. I think what that person is saying is that they always fold. Essentially, whenever something occurs, I just fold and then I fly away. Not engaging with what a band that essentially had that establishment could do if you were in a, like I said, you were in a band that you knew you could pack 60 grand seat or stadiums all the time. You would never have to fold like a paper airplane. Those people have life by the balls. It's the ones that are still, controlled by the record companies and stuff like that. They're the ones that are like Temple and the Rippers, essentially. Now, real quick, last part. Strain from my disease. Realize hope is lost. There's a glare that radiates. Fell back down, felt no pain. Now, again, I think this is a red herring with the strain from my disease part. Because while sure you could say, oh, this has to be about the tech rot. Has to be, right? Having a disease in a song in the 90s was about as common as it got. Like 9 Inch Nails has all kinds of stuff that has all about their disease. This is my disease. There are all kinds of bands. There are just countless bands that talk about the concept of their sickness, all kinds of other things. And it has nothing to do with a physical sickness. It has to do with a mental thing. And especially when it says realize hope is lost, that would go right in from the same thing of like saying that, like, just I'm strained from all this mental BS. I don't know. I have no hope. Yoshi, that's what we're gonna get. That's what we're gonna get into, because that was something that I kind of messed up. But I think everything that we believed is true. We just may have been off on the exact origin. Okay. I don't think so. What did I miss? Strain from my disease, realize hope. There's a glare that radiates. So there's like, fell back down, felt no pain. That's the end. That's the end of the song. Excuse my singing. My voice is a bit hoarse, but I had to, in my mind. See, Ripa, that's the thing that I think we're getting sucked into. But remember, if this is I wouldn't be pushing on this one if Rebecca didn't specifically say that this is a Temple and the Rippers song. If she had just said that this was a Temple song, or didn't, like, let's say, correct herself, I would have just let it go and said, yeah, this is probably about, the tech rot and whatnot. Aster, how are you today? Good to see you. Hey, if I missed anybody, I do apologize. Thank you for being here today. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I used to be a lead singer in a band. Well, I mean, okay, so here's what I want to get at, because I understand. I think we're still on the right path. I just think that we're off just a teeniest bit on the origin with the Party of Your Lifetime and Great Despair. Everything that we've said about those songs, right, as far as what we believed the message to be, I still wholeheartedly believe that is accurate. Right? Wholeheartedly. The difference is, I think, very specifically, as we were just talking about the industry, right? One of the things that I've been noticing is that through my jaunts through 1999 is that the area is inundated with what I would consider heavy propaganda. And what I mean by that is you don't see any variation in the message anywhere. There's only one band that is allowed to be promoted, and it is everywhere. Now, you could say, oh, well, that's just DE saving on assets and whatnot. But I would actually say, in that regard, they could have saved a lot more assets if they wouldn't have put their faces everywhere. But they are on the sides of buildings. They are on every TV. There are multiple situations where you see their face literally spinning around with lights everywhere in the middle of places. There's multiple stores with them in there. There's pictures on just the basic walls of like regular places. So at first, I didn't pay that much mind because I was like, well, you know, they're trying to promote the band and whatnot. So that there may be something to that. But then I started noticing something else. That the characters within the Cumulacrum make the case that they're not happy with pizza. Okay? But it appears as though that is the only thing you can get to eat in Holvania. So, to me, that is exceptionally odd. Not to mention that, based upon what we know about Big Bites Pizza, again, it's the only pizza shop. There's only one in all of Holvania. And again, you can make the argument, it was like, oh, what's a quarantined area? They called Big Bites in to do this and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it, and that's real nice. But, like, you couldn't have picked some other place that sells something other than just, you know, like, just one restaurant. That's all you get. You know, you also brought one in Argonne Burgers, but they never have any food because the burgers are always gone. So that doesn't even make any sense. The burgers you can't, as far as I can tell, you can't eat the burgers because they don't last. And the fact that they're making hamburgers out of argon crystals, isn't that like kind of messed up? Or is that just a figurative thing of speech? But everybody never talks about anything about except for the fact that there's too much pizza. In all the dialogue, they only complain about pizza. You never hear anybody saying about the burgers. So, and based upon what we know with the concept that the pizza may in fact have some kind of additional ingredients in it that may be facilitating more of what's happening within Holvania. Not to mention, there's this really strange dichotomy going on. You have two aspects of a story being told, but if you don't go to the webcomic, you will never see the fact that Entradi and Rusalka were in league together and were specifically discussing how Holvania would be a perfect place to implement all this stuff, everything to occur. Which is crazy because within the quest itself, Rusalka and Entradi are posited to be against each other the entire time. Well, I mean, that's true as well. But let's put it this way. there's some kind of game being played during the Hex quest, because if it's Entradi, which we know that it's Rizalka who ends up being the Indifference. I mean, that could have been right around the time whenever she was quote-unquote infected. But the fact that they appear as opposites, even though they're supposedly the same thing, would... Not to mention the fact that, like... I mentioned this before. Either Albrecht Entradi can't disappear, or there was a reason why he was allowing himself to be held by the Indifference on the chair to get beat up. Yeah, I think I think you're onto something. I think the food stocks just loop. It's like every year they don't have to get more stuff because it just comes back whenever the time rolls back. Ooh, just think they're eating the same food like over and over and over and over again, right? All right, so let me get to my point on this one here, because this is... So, when we originally kind of went over this, I did it in a video, but I think we talked about it in the stream too. It's very obvious the lyrics of this have nothing to do with a boy band and anything that they would want to do, like especially when there's, you know, it's 2,000 degrees, something's big is coming. Let's see, what's the other one? It's kind of a big one. Well, the fact that everything leads to and even Lizzie herself refers to after, what is it? She says after the something, the burning. What does she say? Well, I think 2,000 degrees is a double meaning. It's a play on, yeah, the destruction of the reactor, but also the fact that it's at the stroke of midnight on the year 2000. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. Lizzie says, after the plague, the burning, which to me is very reminiscent of, like, it's the tech rot go into the the destruction part. But I think our answer to this, and even, like I said, tying into Lamenting the Days and what they were thinking about, comes right back to this.
I get that we're here for the common good, but losing music, clubs, dancing, that sucks crud through 3 miles of crazy straw.
There's obviously a very overbearing aspect of the music industry that is, let's say, prevalent within 1999. I believe, one, that this group here was the, let's say, the essential aspect that, like the music industry itself, is, let's say, helping write the lyrics, or maybe in the case of, I think, many boy bands, right? The actual people in the band may have nothing to do with the lyrics themselves. Here, wait, I'm going to get out of this group if you're going to go do that. So essentially, what I'm saying is this same, like not rogue element, but like negative element that exists within the actual music industry that is first talked about by Flair as part of the Rippers actually ends up kind of evolving to something even worse. And I would bet 100%, well, maybe not 100%, but I would bet that this group had something to do with facilitating the connection between Entrati and Flair originally. Yeah, like most boy bands, they don't write all the lyrics. In fact, I would venture that there's probably a group that is absolutely churning out lyrics. And it adds to the whole propaganda that is being forced upon Holvania. They are just a face. But this group is the one who's actually writing the music. Heck, this group might have a tie to the people who are actually making the food. This group could have a tie to the people, you know, who are even facilitating aspects of the military and whatnot. Because this area in particular seems very much like it's set up very specifically as a testing ground for something very specific to occur. And it almost feels to me, at least, like everything here is being cultivated very, very specifically so that the group within these confines are exposed to not only the tech rod itself, but also visual, audio, different other things, even within the food that they're eating, to essentially produce a result. That's a good one, Rippa. That's actually, it worked out perfect there. So this is what I believe is the disconnect that at least I had when we were speaking about the Great Despair, because you can even see, I'm going to do you one better. I think during that part in the Hex Quest, whenever you hear online speaking to the people of 1999, that's not the boys. That is their voices in some way, shape, or form, or if nothing else, something that they were told specifically to say, if that in fact even is the actual boys themselves. Because it doesn't seem like, it says right here, the boys will remain on standby for in-person appearances only. I don't know, with lip syncing and things of that nature that went on, especially in the 90s and stuff with Milli Vanilli, like that was like the beginning of that whole scenario. Like the boys you may never hear the boys' actual voices at all. Maybe not necessarily all of 1999, but absolutely Holvania. And you know what? If you don't think that there's proof of that, walk around Holvania, try to go 3 blocks without seeing Entrati's eye somewhere. Good luck. It's on places it has no business being. It is completely saturated throughout the mall. It's down in the subway. It's in the theaters. It's on the theater screen, being literally played as a quote on like a movie almost. It is everywhere. Well, Krisa, that's unfortunately what the ARG seems to insinuate. That very thing. Which that's the scary part. And one of the things that we talked about last night on the stream, when we actually saw we played the Whispers in the Walls, and we went right into the Hex quest, right? And that's kind of one of the things that when you see the two quests together, you get a much better concept for how that eye is moving throughout these two quests specifically, and even more so that there may even be a tell in whenever the indifference is making its moves. There are very specific scenes where a typical, for whatever reason, and the first time you actually see it in the Whispers in the Walls first, but in this particular area, the first time you actually see it is in the.
Have some bloody useful tricks up their sleeves.
All right, Arthur, calm down. There used to be a monitor here. This was this was the area where Arthur literally punches the thing after he believes that Entrati is giving him an address as a lead. Now, I think, if you ask me, again, this will be for that video that's coming out. We'll get more into it, but I think we may have locked down who the hands actually belong to now. But more importantly, when you see that part, the screen flashes a very particular color. And it only happens at certain times. But when it does, these are very, very poignant times in both quests. Anybody else want to get in on this? Well, see, I think let me ask the question here. If the Drifter made Duviri, is there a possibility where there is a version of it where the Drifter didn't make Duviri? Oh, Dark Mega, thank you for being here. Good night and have a good sleepy. I hope I didn't miss anybody else there, but if you know how we always say that. Hear me out on this one. I know that the Drifter has said this, and I think I'm the last person standing. But there's just these things that. What happened here? Why can't I vote on it? Okay. Can I ask a question? Why, if. Hear me out. If the Drifter made Duviri, why did Entrati not speak to him when he went to Duviri and instead went to Thrax? But I guess my point is Entrati would understand what was occurring there, given the situation. And at that point, we still don't necessarily know exactly when Entrati was there. But something was occurring with the drifter at that particular point when Entrati was there. Well, Haster, that's definitely a possibility, but wow, that really throws the timeline into a crazy flux. Do we want to go play another stage defense? Anybody want to join in? Oh, I might have. We might be. Oh no, just sorry. Right after this one, we'll do this real quick. I might even get my a little extra on my coda.
Their focus and press in. Give them all warriors death.
Target down.
Here, maybe I should. I'm not explaining what I find is weird about it. What I find is odd about it is, as I see it at least, Entrati would have to understand, given his scientific mind, that something had to have created this. So, or else he just found himself in some odd place and decided to, like, to me, I need to understand the mechanism by which Entrati got or wanted to go to Duviri for. Like, how did he know that it was there?
Are you ditching me?
I guess my point is to me, it would be hard to see the significance in something and not be able to see its creator. But how did he get there? So I'm saying, like, I can get behind how Entrati got to 1999. Absolutely. Like, unequivocally. It makes total sense.
Are you
Oh,
actually
shit.
gonna let me bleed to death?
I didn't want to.
They're super.
I was just looking at chat. And that's how it goes sometimes. Just leave me alone. I should have probably taken it off.
You were next.
Spore contamination is getting out of hand. Start holding your breath.
Enemies! Prepare to be hammered in your reproductive organs!
We maybe should have had another person in this one.
Tick, tick, tick. Time's running out.
Are you bugged out? I can't revive you. Okay, there we go. May have bit off a little bit more than we can shoot at this particular point. In my defense, I thought we were doing a stage defense. I wouldn't have come here with Nova. But, yeah, we're going to fail this anyhow. Let me put on a good frame for that if we need to do that one. Or let's just do the stage defense instead. Again, this is kind of my point of the matter, that when we talk about 1999, it's so obvious why we're here. He knew he wanted to come here. It wasn't like he knew that this place existed. I could totally see getting here, but what's losing me, and I think a lot of people are not understanding where I'm kind of coming from in this, but at the same time, I can't really change my perspective on it until maybe I learn how to explain myself differently. Like, if eternalism just happened on its own, right? Then that would there's, first of all, it's impossible. Something has to enact a force upon our reality in order to look for another reality. Another reality just doesn't decide to just pop itself in there periodically and then jump out at random stages, especially very specific ones that offer power and stuff like that. Like, that's everything that I've seen so far shows that eternalism is not that. What eternalism appears to be is an applied, like, desire to want to change a thing for whatever reason, and then going to that thing and having the ability to enact some kind of form and make a change in that regard. But the idea of it just spontaneously occurring goes away from what's largely been described as, at least by like Lyrical and everything else, like more of an intelligent design type thing, right? So okay, maybe I should start saying that. And that's the major thing, that like I keep getting the answer that like, well, all time happens at the same time here. Yes, I understand that, but we don't experience it like that. Even if it does occur like that, we as players, our character as either the operator or the drifter or the warframes, have all experienced time in a linear state. So while things can be going on that outside of our purview, we cannot experience anything in anything other than a linear state, because our characters don't understand anything. They can't see anything but that. So even if it exists, if we can't enact a force upon it to actually make it become part of our linear timeline and our purview, then it can't affect our story. That's probably the best way I can describe it. Like, we have to have a scenario where something, it doesn't have to be us. It could be the man on the wall. It could be Entradi. It could be the Orcan. It could be any number of beings that have some kind of tie to wanting power, control, or intelligent design, or anything else.
Their rage is vehement, their focus
But
impressive. Give them all warriors' death.
otherwise, like, there's no way to understand any piece of any lore, because literally everything that happens within the story, it also happened the other way, and that's also part of the story. Well, no, it did happen the other way, but it's not part of our story. Talk different time, Lord. So far, I have not seen anything that I would call a new type of Easter egg on the Zerman. But that doesn't mean, and believe me, I have tried to comb over the entire area, but I still could have missed stuff with the
temple and the Rippers, but we will never be silenced.
Well, you were. So, like I said, I'm totally all for the all timelines happening and whatnot. I'm just not for us utilizing it as a method of telling the story within Warframe or the Tenno or the Drifter story specifically, because it opens up too much possibility for every scenario that's not what we got. And that's not just within important timeline parts. That's in anything. The Drifter never controlled that frame. The only person to control that frame was the man on the wall. Or that vessel, I should say, at the end of 1999. The one that the Drifter controlled, or the operator, depending on who you played it with, that would be still sitting in the Anatomica in the center. Yeah, to me, like,
That is so cool.
I can absolutely just accept that DE is coming out and saying that well, sort of, because again, there's a yes and no state for everything. But there's just so many things that just do not make sense about Duviri to me. And I'll be honest with you. You ready for this? I think it's really possible that we might be going back to Duviri. Perhaps maybe even to clear things up there. So I think we talked about that, like, obviously, you know, you got right off the bat, you got the scenario where the Proto frames just think Duviri's the greatest thing that's ever happened in all the world. They just love it. Right? But hidden deep within the Cumulacrum, a piece of dialogue that I myself did not get, by the way, in any of my adventures, right, tells us
You want to help Holvania
that apparently,
when you couldn't even help your bandmates.
you ready for this?
Trying to get under my skin.
The Drifter
You of all
thinks
people should know that my skin is much thicker than it used to be.
the Drifter thinks, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, that we're supposed to bring Entrati to Duviri. Like I said, it's like one or two like lines of dialogue, but within it, some pretty significant stuff. Now, again, I don't know for certain. I've never heard from anything, substantial, but I'm putting some of the pieces together. Like I said, in every single discussion or conversation, I believe, every one of the Proto frames makes mention of Duviri. Perhaps, again, within the dialogue, the The Drifter never makes mention as to the why. It's just that apparently we have to take him there. Now, maybe he's figured out that, like, you know, talking to Thrax or whatever, like, they have the proper defense. I don't know. Maybe the Undercroft has something to do with it. That part I don't know. Space stage? Yeah, I think, well, we were talking about it last night, and unfortunately, the most plausible scenario is that the reality of 1999 has, well, all right. The destroyed reality of 1999 became the, or at least is now the reality that we live under, which maybe, and again, I expect it doesn't have to be right underneath the thing either, because there's a lot of planetary debris, but it's possible that 1999, well, I mean, it's certain that 1999 in one iteration blew up, you know? So, in that one, that may be where the coda hit itself within the stadium, and now you can kind of see the stadium over Earth when shit wasn't there before. And perhaps the fact that, like, that it can do that is because, like, specifically of the fact that, like, it's destroyed so it doesn't occupy the same space, kind of like an incursion would from you know, from Marvel. Because I feel like if that portion of 1999, if the whole planet Earth materialized in our reality, that would that be, like, extraordinarily bad?
They're weak.
I mean, to me, that's just the thing that makes the most sense based upon what we see and how the fact that we've seen certain things that have, like, that used to be within 1999 are now making their way into this reality. Did we fail again, too? We're having a bad day. We need some more people to help out. Or, I guess I could just go... It happens. Let me see. If it's just going to be the two of us, then let me put on somebody different. Even the Nova. Nova's
You just
great,
shot to
but...
the top of the social pyramid.
Did I? It seems like we lost because of you. I don't know. Do I do it? Do I do it? Do I do it? Do I put the crutch on? I really don't want to. I just do it all the time. Damn. Guess we're doing this now. Yes, you may join me. Absolutely. What is your... Join up. Well, see, hey, that's what I was kind of talking about, that I think they're utilized. I swear to God, I know this sounds like ridiculous. But I think they're utilized in some of the food. So, okay, nice. I'll take that. Look at that. Let's just shut up real quick here. What do you got here? Ah, I need that part of it. I likes it. That's a good one. Huh? What the hell? Give me 1 second, everybody. Sorry. If you want to join on me, feel free. I just need one second. That put my name up. Ah, that's what I wanted to see right there. Whatever your question is to what if, shoulda, coulda, or woulda, the answer is yes within Warframe's eternalism theory. It's just a matter if the devs play out the scenario within its canon. Okay, so then they are the force. Did I accept your friend request? Oh, I'm going to say thank you to a couple people there. Thank you to both of you. I can't invite. Let's see here. Hold on. Let me do something real quick. Who all wants to play again? I think you were in there, were you not? Alice, let's see here. A-L. Oh, okay, we got 4. All right, we'll get you in, Alice. We'll get you in on the next one here. Well, I guess now if we got 4 people, I don't need to use the crutch. I can go back to making everybody else's life happy. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather use the crutch. I just use Revenant for everything. So it's just gotten to the point now where I just understand Revenant's gameplay better than any other frame. And I've gotten to the point where I stopped trying to fight it, you know? I just stopped trying to fight it. We'll get another group in right after this one. A whole new group. Whoever didn't get a chance to play this time. But again, I really think that we are going to see here in the very, very near future that the concept of the control. I know that we're leaving Holvania, right? But we're leaving it in a really weird state. So we're coming back at some point. Like I've said it in the past. I think DE is keeping it in their back pocket, mainly because what happened? Okay, ready? Everybody has to come out to the. Wish they didn't have to do that, but I think we're going to come back to it. There's just too many things that have been left unsaid within this area. Like, way left unsaid. That can't be. There's just too many things that we have, like, not addressed in any way, shape, or form. I actually think, and I think we talked about it last week, I think that's one of the reasons why people we're kind of like a little bummed out about leaving Holvania now because there's just so much that's like kind of left unsaid right yet. I mean, again, I could be wrong about Duviri. I'm just trying to, you know how I always say it, I'm trying to read the tea leaves. And to me, the tea leaves say, especially when you take into consideration the Sindana, that has, you know, Zariman connotations to it, which, yes, that, you know, obviously we could do the Zariman thing, but Duviri also has significant Zariman connotations as well. Oh, man. Can you imagine that? Huh, that's a good question there, Floppy. I mean, my first thought, I just want Ballas back into the story, unfortunately. Which is, I know, it's really odd. I hate remakes and redos and stuff, but one, I don't think that's... Maybe it's I don't think. One, I don't want Ballas' story to be completely over. And I would love to see some kind of aspect of him to return in Duviri. You know, considering he's kind of already there already, and I'm sure there's nothing to it. But we played in Duviri the other day, and I don't know why, but I know this didn't happen before. I would have called it out every single time I've ever played Comey. When I was playing Comey the other day, more than a couple days, Ballas's dialogue keeps coming up. Well, like I said, I never, anything that I ever predict or anything else like that always has to be taken with a grain of salt, because even if, like, all the stuff pointed to a particular thing, that doesn't mean, yeah, like, DE could be like, you know what?
Ooh, scary.
We're going to change this up a little bit here. And then, it's, you know, totally possible. Especially if someone has an interesting idea. Shift scope and scale happens all the time. But I do think that Warframe is one of the better held together continuity-wise lore games. At least in trying to keep a reasonable or rational explanation for the things that they do when they do it. Or at least offering us enough clues to make a theory that, you know, legitimately falls within the purview of what they're saying to us or what they're showing to us. Like, oh yeah, okay, it's this or it's that, or at least if nothing else, it very much seems like this or it very much seems like that. You know, and then, like I said, very rarely. I don't have a problem with retcons if we are offered an acceptable reason for the retcon itself. If you just do it and say, oh, we didn't know, or something like that, like, to me, that's lazy. I don't like that. But if you actually bake in some aspect to the story that allows the retcon to, like, breathe within the current story itself, I don't know if that makes sense. That I'll get behind all the time. Like, I have no problem with that. Well, I appreciate you. I just, like I said, I don't, I do a lot of predicting on this channel. But, yeah, it should never be taken as gospel. I mean, another reason that like none of my stuff should be taken as gospel completely. I mean, I like to think I bring the receipts with me when I do make a theory, especially one that I post as a video. But when my scripts are edited by nobody and I get no input from anybody else, like everything that I write is entirely my own take based upon my own knowledge too. So I do my absolute best to like read every part of Warframe's lore and try to interpret, but there's gonna be things that you miss, and that's why I like having you all around, especially when we have these discussions, because then I can potentially get little details that slip through my cracks, if you will. Not in a sexual way, in a literal way. Wouldn't that be something? Could you imagine? If like Ballas and I mean, we still have to kind of find there in 2 different quests. We are actually, I think, in 3 different quests in Warframe. There is a picture of, I don't know if it's, again, I just assume based upon the context of the room and everything else that within our room on the Zeraman, there is a photo, I would guess, of our baby, us as a baby, and our parents holding us. Now, to me, that doesn't look at all like Ballas. But if you really want to get conspiracy theory super version, right? There is, okay, stop. Like, there is, let's say a couple that does kind of fit what they look like. If you're really ready for a mind blow. Oh, that's exactly it. Like, this channel is essentially my ideas bounced upon the community of people that enjoy watching my ideas. So bounced in there and then thrown back at me with whatever flavor that you've added to it. And I like how that works. I really do.
Buckle up, because that's a prime specimen. Libertation manhood you're driving.
That's the way to do it. That's what I think is the best part about Warframe's story is the idea that one person can feel absolutely definitive about this story, right? In certain aspects and whatnot. And the same person armed with the same data, based upon their own interactions and their own experiences with other aspects of the lore and stuff that they've heard and different people that they've talked to, can have a vastly different concept of what they read too. And in reality, it's possible that you both could be maybe not necessarily right. I mean, that's not possible, but equally plausible from what we know. I think that happens all the time. Hey, Hux, how are you? Better late than never.
Is that my imaginary friend?
Sorry, I'm just reading stuff. If I die, you know how it goes. That's the only thing that I ask of the people that join. You got to get me up if it's a kid. Absolutely, Jeff. Without question. I'll pick somebody else because I don't really want to run him out of anyhow. I was just hoping to make it easy. The guitar frame? Oh man! So what to me is so interesting now is that it's kind of something that I kind of started bringing up earlier, but like, do we get that there could be a new type of Warframe? Do you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I've absolutely been to Lorunda Italy with Kai just hanging out there, telling me something about that I knew about it and that she was already there, but like that I know that she wasn't there because I was there, and so it's like eternalism right in front of my eyes. Well, I mean, if you go to the Lorunda Relay, I know there's a crap ton of tennos around it. I would assume that she did, you know? Oh, but what I was going to say, the idea that the Proto frames are a different variation of the Warframes with their own kind of secret sauce baked in means that we could see another variation of these frames that, because according to like what we learned from like what was in there with Flare and whatnot, like they are going to change into a full Warframe, which means it's very possible and almost probable that Nova or that Kaya and Minerva and Valamir and Eleanor and all of them, they're all going to become full Warframes as well, right? So when that occurs, and like let's say that the Technocyte and the helmet and everything matures within them, could we be looking at another variation of those frames that like is a step above the primes, like could even have like added attributes to their abilities, like different things that take the current like kind of the idea that with the prime frames you get a little bit different cosmetic look and certain abilities and certain like a little bit of like base or up stats, if you will, but instead that these frames don't necessarily have any increased stats or increased or like different color schemes or things, but rather that they have like different effects that happen because you do them, and thus would allow for Warframe and DE to introduce like an entirely different spin, like on all of these Proto frames and every other frame. Well, again, what we have to kind of remember is we don't know. Here's the issue with Kaya. Kaya, from what we understand, has Intradi's notes. Now, we don't know if that's the indifferent Intradi's notes or if that's the, like, let's say, the like true Albert Intradi's notes. But regardless, one would have to assume within those notes, the Sanctum Anatomica would most likely come up in multiple scenarios, right? So there is a very, very good chance that Kaya was able to figure out how to get there as well. Again, this is headcanon. This isn't like there's no thing that said that that's exactly what it is. But I'm just saying that it's, with that piece of data, I do think that there exists a very plausible explanation of why Kaya would know the Lotus, because I mean the Lotus is just sitting there. She doesn't move anymore. As long as she's hiding. No, I don't think the Drifter's ever a partial sentient. Am I on? Did I miss something there, chat? Is it better? I mean, the only reason why I usually go with Roar is because of the faction damage. It's just one of those things that, like, it works with everybody's builds, you know? Like, almost I guarantee you everybody in this group playing right now could use an additional whatever it is. What am I given? 94%, almost 100% additional faction-specific damage with Roar. That's why I love Roar so much. It's just real versatile with other people. Well, okay, so that's a little bit different, though. That's kind of like, oh man, that's an interesting. I like that, though. I like where you're going with that. That there's a part now that is sentient in some way. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we have kind of seen what a human and a sentient together looks like. That's Ballas. It makes you wonder if maybe that's something that will happen at some point. That, like, if that's something that the Lotus had originally planned for with the whole amalgamation thing. That's interesting. Frames as tech rot. Bust mode. Siege read it. What am I looking at? Okay, I can't see that. Oh no. I can't, let me see where you're at there, buddy. Give me a second on that one, Frank, but I will. Frame is tech rot. Well, I mean, do you mean, like, when you say that as, like, the tech rot creating its own warframe in the same way as, like, what we would perceive, like, Nidus to be? Again, I don't know how exactly. That's an interesting point, see, because one of the things that we don't really know about is how amalgamation works. Oh, okay. Okay, so you're saying, okay, I think I get you now. Like having some kind of, like, thing almost akin to what DE had planned years ago with the whole Umbra thing, where they were going to have you have the ability to, like, inject something into your warframes, and then they would be able to, like, have more of a sentience. And so essentially what I think Frank, I'm picturing this is that you're saying that maybe the tech rot could be that thing and essentially make the warframes that we have essentially become like their own variation of Proto frame based upon the whole tech rot injection situation. Yeah, it does look very much like the tech rot and the infestation aren't one and the same. Now, again, maybe they turn into something that's one and the same at some point, but you have to understand that, like, the concept of introducing something that could possibly meld with a much less evolved variation of itself would then, by definition, change into a new variety. Well, the specters are. I don't even know 100% that the specters are made from infest material, and if they are, they function by the specter technology that Parvos Granom developed. Now, you can make your own whole side theory on this. Now that we know that Parvos Granom has at least some tie to the Void, you know, given his infatuation and understanding of Void Tongue, which, you know, is supposed to be rare, if not unheard of, especially for someone like himself. Really weird. Especially if the information that Fibonacci provides us during the Whisper of the Walls, where he states that Entrati himself didn't even completely know what all the Void Tongue meant, means that even the information that Parvos Granom may have been able to procure from Entrati's labs wouldn't have necessarily given him the information to transcribe what Void Tongue actually meant.
Enough of this.
So it really does kind of, I mean, again, you can get on your own thing now. It's like, oh, well, is Spectre technology just, you know, clone technology from the Indifference and blah, blah. Yes, it could be. It absolutely could be. And I think that's kind of where we had a lot of things postulated last evening when we were doing the quest, but I really do think that that's kind of where the we end as we began thing. It's like everything split up, but everything's going to come back to being all the same stuff. Like it's all influenced by the same thing. It's all a part of the same thing. And even, you know, the craziest part is all the different, like, that was weird.
Gotcha.
Music just, like, shut off for a second. All the different factions, right? Even groups that you would assume wouldn't kind of necessarily take this mindset. They all use the same exact wording. All is one. We are one. I mean, we end as we began is essentially even saying that we will come back to being one. You know, Ballas says it whenever he's talking about Narmer. The Techrot uses that same exact dialogue. It all just seems to keep flowing back to the same concept over and over again. Okay, I don't... Let's see. I mean, she's definitely missing the same arm that the Man in the Wall is missing the finger of, but I actually think that it might be the other hand of Granom. Oh, yeah, that's right. Then the other thing. That's another one on the Zeramin. The old Orican, dialogue and how they perceive things. It all comes back to that same thing over and over and over again. And you know how I like to bring up that Warframe in particular loves to take a concept and, like, use it over and over again. Real subtle. I think... the whole Tenno being able to heal a broken thing has been used so many times now. It just keeps coming back to these same, like, narratives. And it shows that if you ever thought that DE actually didn't necessarily have a plan, I'm not saying that it's 100%, they had every aspect of each portion of their stories, and storyboarding done right off the bat. But, like, you can tell there was a through line that they absolutely always had it, at least in their back pocket, of where they wanted the story to go and to potentially end up in. And now we're getting into, the story's starting to mature a little bit now. Yeah, that's with Ija. I think that's a perfect way of looking at it. And it's kind of like its own cycle if you think about it. The loop. Like this could just be a loop. In the next iteration, it could happen again. And these looping concepts throughout, Warframe is, again, another prevalent thing that we see happen, in multiple scenarios. This loop could just be a larger loop in the grand scheme of time. Well, Silva Sousa, I think you might be onto something because it does seem like all of these ideas and all these things all hold Orcan beliefs as something to be revered. Like, lest we forget, the helmet is, in most cases, the helmet is actually on the side of Ballas. And dare I say, when you speak to Lizzie, it may even be a product of when she's kind of talking about, how we would never do things like that doctor did, right? Well, I don't think that they like Intrati like they like Ballas. Ballas is their true, master, if you will.
Send in a screamer.
Reza, I think you could make that argument with the fact that literally within the Origin system, we are pumped full of void energy at all times. And in case anybody was worried that was going to stop, well, we, the Tenno, made sure it didn't. Did we know what we were even doing? Yeah, of course not, because we never did. I mean, you gotta admit, if the man on the wall wanted to lead us around, God, the Tenno are the perfect. They are the absolute perfect individual to do it. And may even, I wonder if there isn't a concept that's kind of slowly being developed that the Drifter doesn't side with the man on the wall as frequently. Because everything that we've done up to this, especially with the new war and whatnot, the man on the wall kind of led us around. It led us into what Ballas wanted us to do, or needed us to do. Yeah, well, I like that. The Drifter is the new heart of 1999. Oh, that's kind of poetic in a way, right? Yeah. After this round, we'll get out and then let a different group in. See, what concerns me most, and this will be just a little preview for everybody for the new video, right? There's two pieces of dialogue that very much concern me. Oh, King of Fire, have a good day. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, Tyler, I like that too. So, within the quest, The Whispers in the Wall, there is a piece of dialogue where Fibonacci tells either the Tenno or the Drifter, doesn't matter who, the Indifference seeks a path into this reality or into this time through the labs and then through you, right? And I can't help but think that after seeing the end of the Hex quest and how we were the connection point, especially within the ARG, and how we were utilized as, and Entrati actually comes out and says to us, well, quote unquote Entrati, that this is only possible for you to save them if you know them, and then shoots us and kills us, right? Now, aside from the fact that that makes absolutely no sense from what Entrati wants us to do, because he specifically wants us to destroy the area and kill the Proto frames. So now at the very end, by shooting us, which, again, that part of it in its own right is kind of odd. But I think in the greater scheme of things, what we may have done is facilitated the connection. And I think the only thing that might be holding anything back, at the moment at least, was
Get out of my face.
the idea that the Drifter didn't necessarily take on the indifference willingly, right? Now check this out, though. However, I think that changed during the quest itself. And when we did our thing last night, there is I'm not going to go too deep into it. You'll have to watch the video for this, but there is a part within the quest, right? That it looks very much like the Drifter is infected. Well, that's my thing, Raze, and that's another reason why I have issues with Holvania being just going back in time. I just, to me, when you talk about other theories, things in regards to many worlds and stuff, every time that we go back and make any change, and if we keep looping that area, any changes that do occur would absolutely create new branches. It wouldn't just be one. It would literally be every single time a new decision's made. There wouldn't just be one Holvania. There'd be multiple ones. And essentially, what we're saying is that it's all looping. I can't even imagine what the consequences of that would be on any normal timeline, unless all of that stuff occurred outside of it, right? So that would be okay. But then when you see our timeline affected by things within the 1999 timeline, but not all things affected by it, that would mean that, to me, that there are pieces that are kind of happening. And I just can't get over that. And it's one of the reasons why I think that I very much think that Holvania is whatever Duviri is. How's that? Maybe not made in the same way, because maybe, perhaps, the fact that they were made by two different people may have some kind of bearing on that, or something to that regard, which I definitely think. Well, so Alice, that's my first thought, is that everything gets contained in Holvania, right? But if you're going off of the concept of eternalism, right? Every single time Now, again, this is me trying to, justify everything because this is the problem that we have with eternalism. Its scope expands and contracts based upon where we need it, which would mean two things. One, it's inconsistent and is actually poorly written, or that, in my opinion, that an outside entity is acting upon it in order to make certain things occur, right? So what I'm saying is, within the confines of Holvania and the loop, right? And it's one of the reasons why I think like the changes that happen in Duviri don't happen. Nothing that happens in Duviri happens here, because it's basically that is all contained to one little area, and it's literally created. But what I'm saying is, yeah, sure. Within this place, okay. We would be encapsulating multiple variations of 1999. It wouldn't just be the loop that we go through, because like perfect example, like in this loop, okay, this time around, I went to, by going here and speaking to Amir, I didn't do this.
Keep yourself in one piece.
Hold on one second. I didn't do this. Come on, give me the date, man. I just want the date, that's all. Alice, send me a friend invite, too. I'm going to decline that for just a second, but send me an invite. Okay. I didn't do that January 6th of last spiral. So what I'm saying is, what we are essentially looking at is every single spiral, every time I do something different, that means that there is a new variation that has been created because of it. So if I go and do missions different this time, now I've created, because remember, from the last time, there's this, there's what it was, right? And then what I've changed this time around. Not to mention, and this is the crazy part, that now that Kaya has removed herself from the loop, right? That means that there are outside entities that can move in between and outside. It's not like our own place that we control. Oh, you do? Okay, cool. Good. Let me just do this. Inbox. Not inbox. Yes, nice. Very nice. Well, Tyler, there's that. There could be a bubble within a bubble. Absolutely. Like a greater scheme. And that's actually, see, that to me makes the most sense. And I've said it a couple times. I call it the prime timeline. I think that there is a specific, let's see here. There's one specific timeline first that is within Warframe. The main timeline. And I think, and I've said this before, but I think things that are occurring in 1999 are applying themselves to this timeline. And I think the reason why is because this place is a real place, not like Duviri that was created. Duviri can stand on its own because of the fact that it doesn't fit within our reality in any way, shape, or form. But this place is different. In order to create a conceptual embodiment of 1999, right? In order to create one, you would have to create it literally on top of the one that already exists, right? Like two things. If I make, like, because a conceptual embodiment's a real thing that happens within Warframe. You utilize the void and you make a thing because of it. Now, if I were to make something like a universe or something like that, in that regard, based upon what I know and how I would understand that thing's place, especially at time, it would have only one physical place to be. And that's within the exact same spot of where we are, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why we have the loop here, because with it being its own entity, this doesn't have to necessarily exact its purpose on anything unless it's specifically, let's say, told to. So aspects of the loop can happen any number of times without ever really affecting the timeline unless an intelligent force wanted that to occur. And I think we've kind of discussed this. Chat last night was absolutely was hitting on this in the fact that it may even be that Entradi wanted to change things based upon how things went and is now trying to enact his own future, changing the origin of the tech rot, changing the origin in many ways of the warframes. Because in the original variation, there were no proto-frames, but now there is a brand within our timeline, within this timeline, there's a new variation of Warframe that exists. And it would, based upon everything that we've seen so far, right? It would have to, in fact, we can find them somewhere in the same breath as the the coda. The coda, like hiding out, if you will. Well, in the same breath, the proto-frames that exist in the now, like Temple, will show up in the future, but as full frames. Meaning that, and again, because we know that these frames are a product of Ballas's Helminth and this new variation, it's almost assured that we are going to see at some point a new variation of Warframe. Well, but here's the thing, though, about that. Explain to me what makes, in your mind, what makes the people in Duviri less real than the people in Holvania? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you go to Duviri and you speak, if you go go walking around and talking to people, they have lives too. Like they have. Well, that looks damn good. What the fuck? Hold on. Move away from me for a second. Oh my. Oh my. No, put it back. Alice. What was that? Put it back. Just for a second. Def, just for a second. What was that? Was that Wisp? What was that? Was that Nova? What was that skin? Oh, you even have my color scheme. Oh, that's Nova skin? Oh, man. I just lost all train of thought. Like, that's even my color scheme. God damn, it's looking good. Just saying. Oh, is that an operator? Oh, yeah, it is. That is the operator, huh? Oh, what is that cloak that you have over your head? That is an operator. Yeah, because those are I have those arms. It's the drifter with the goth hood. Oh. Out,
demon, out!
Sorry. What is goth hood? Where's this goth hood at? I didn't know. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Sorry. I'm sorry, chat. I just need one more. I just need one more. That was it. This is what I was looking for. This was the piece. This was the piece right here. Just real quick, just to see it. When he stands like that too. Are you kidding? Oh man. Oh man. It's a good day. Wow. Okay. I'm so happy. Like, you don't even know. So I am using the goth hood now with the drifter keeler suit, the Orizu sleeves, which are just the best sleeves. They're just the best ones. I haven't found a set of legs that I'm completely in love with. The ones that Alice is wearing there are amazing, but the one problem with them is you can't get them dark black. Like, they only go to like a gray, even if you're using black. So unfortunately, like, I had to move away from those legs because they do work really well. Dude, I'm just telling you, this is it. This is it. This is it. Man. This is the look. This is the one I've been waiting. This is the one I've been trying to get. Oh my God, you look so hard, dude. I just want to punch something. He looks like he's just like, look at that. Oh yeah. He exudes just hard. It's just so hard. Here, I'll show you again. Look at when he looks up. It's just like, what is that in the distance? Sorry. Just look at him. Just looks around. Well, I think, unfortunately, if you're going to use the Orizu sleeves, I thought this too, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Jeff. My bad. Is there anybody that played the last time? I guess we're going to have to go one more time. We'll get it. We'll get a third one. I apologize. I do apologize for that, Jeff. Let's do a couple rounds, then we'll get Jeff in too. Maybe
feels like swallowing a live goldfish.
We'll go. We're not going to go Flesh Scarlet, thank you for that. Jeff, what is your what's your thing again? Try the load rider pants. All right. Oh, do I have this one? See, the fell dude ones are too big up in this area. Unfortunately, they look to me, they're a little, that might work too. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. Nah, they're too thin. I like a little bit of muscularity on my. If you look at it, see that's I could have went. I definitely go with something else, but just the fact that his chest is all beef caked with the nice abs and whatnot, it's something's just gonna have to pop, if you will. What's going on here? Why does it keep moving? Rusty, why doesn't it want me to... Rusty Shackle Ford 13. I don't know what's going on with that. That's weird. That's weird. Hope I spell this right. What was the rest of it there? Nice. Okay. Sweet. Okay. Oh my God, look at that. He looks like the Undertaker. Damn, this was the best thing. Has the eye been by the door to the back room before? I don't know what you're looking at, dude, but you look like a model when you're doing it, and I'm here for it.
Can you feel your self-esteem rising?
I actually can. After I just got that new gear, yes, I can. My self-esteem's through the roof. Thank you. Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of voices, Yoshi. Oh, there's a ton of voices there. In fact, I would say those voices, if you go head down to old Sanctum Anatomica and Trotty's labs, you'll come to find many of those same voices exist right there. And many others. Bango, I'll take it. Because I'm just saying.
Your weapons make music.
All I'm trying to say is
For a song.
Alice, you made my day by just showing me that thing exists in the world. That was the piece. That hood is what I was looking for. Oh, I can't wait to do cinematic quests now with my new drifter. He's going to look so hard, dude. Oh, so excited, dude. It's going to be great.
Dude, do the thing with the beam.
They said that if we played, they'd kill us.
Are you hearing it then?
Just try.
I'm ready for it. Here, I'll give you some. I'll give you an additional 78. You know what? We can go better than that. Wait, there's a voice that says "Brother Y" in Duviri? Is that real? What, Oh yeah, if you really want the voices to pop, right? You got to put the sound effects all the way up. Turn the music off. You got to turn the music off, unfortunately.
Scary.
I'm going to tell you this all right now. Like, if you want some of Warframe's secrets, play a bunch of the quests without music on. They hide all kinds of stuff under that pretense.
Oh, little Victor whimpers. We made him a fool.
It was all in good fun. Until it wasn't.
That's true, but for the ones that don't. And again, think about like the scenes in the quest where it's still on there. Like, oh, dude. You know, when the Drifter first gets like introduced in the new war, right? Whenever he's like just shows up off the ship. It's gonna be a whole new game.
Lex and Flare.
Hey, I've said that Thrax is an aspect of the Tenno's other or the Drifter's other for as long. If you all go back to the first video I did on it, whenever Duviri was first shown. In fact, you can see it because the name of the thing. The name of the video says they look similar, don't they? And I was showing basically our operator and Thrax right next to each other. So that belief of mine has stayed since the very beginning. And I don't think it's going to leave, especially after what I've learned in the past couple, let's say, 6 months. Oh, absolutely. So there's another thing that someone was saying in one of my chats, one of the streams here recently, but I can't remember who said it. If you are here, feel free to acknowledge this, but they said that the indifference is now showing up in all the cycles. Like, I assume that means like the Vagabond and whatnot.
Sound check.
So I didn't think he was in all of them, but sure enough, when we were on stream in Duviri, he showed up in a place that I don't remember ever seeing him at. Now again, maybe he always showed up there, and I just never particularly saw him there. But the place that I would see the Vagabond show up the majority of the time was over Intradi's makeshift grave, effigy, I don't know what you want to call it there. It's figurative. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. It seems to be very much so that they were all killed. Which, again, the Rippers, I mean, there's nothing that says that they weren't assimilated. There's just nothing that says that they were. But I do honestly believe that was the event that changed, like, basically was utilized as altering thing that seems to happen with all the Proto frames. Like they all seem to need some kind of like emotional, like significant scenario to force the change. It wasn't just about the helmet. At least that's what the webcomic seems to imply. Tyler, I'm not sure. Maybe? And if so, that's something I'm going to have to look into. Yeah, but Raze doesn't look good, is the question.
Send in a screamer.
You're going to die too.
What to do? Bad guys!
Well, Andreas, they could be talking about who is the real one, or they could be talking about another one. Did you get the hood? Did you get the best piece of clothing in all of Warframe? I may have to say that hood is sick. It looks so good. Oh. Oh, and with the beard, dude, the beard. It's all coming together. He does look a little Dark Souls or even Bloodborne-ish, right? Maybe he's got eyes on the inside. You never know. You know, what's interesting, though, is I said this in another stream, like, that Warframe and Bloodborne, they do kind of share just the tiniest bit of the story in the fact that, you know, aside from the eldritch concepts of the man in the wall and whatnot, that what you come to find out in the end is that it's a combination of beast being a beast and having eyes on the inside, you know, like kind of beast blood echoes and eyes on the inside that allows the hunter to ascend, right? And in the same breath with Warframe, like the operator is good, but as you've seen, you know, try taking just an operator into a steel path, whereas it's not impossible. It's not going to be the most enjoyable experience unless you really have a great operator built going, right? But in the same breath, we've seen that the Warframes, they don't have the same kind of capabilities without the operator as a kind of additional, you know, power supply, like an extra aspect, right? So in the same breath of what allowed the hunter to finally ascend, in the same breath, this combination of Warframe and Tenno, they were able to kind of come together to become the perfect variation of what both entities could be. Does that make sense? How about the warden? That's another thing. Here's a question to ask.
Enough of this. Ready? A screamer.
Does it matter? Does it matter that the warden might not be the real Ballas? If the warden is a conceptually embodied version of Ballas, right?
Fission has been
And
achieved.
hear me out on this. If that character was conceptually embodied under the pretense of what Kalervo believed, right? Which would have been, the absolute worst version of Ballas. Could it not be conceived that the Warden may end up being a much worse variation of Ballas than even Ballas himself? Well, Pastor, unfortunately, it kind of does mean eyes on the inside in Bloodborne. I know it's figurative too, but that's the whole idea of the umbilical cord, the third umbilical cord, which in Japanese translation is not the same thing as what we understand it in the English translation to be. But that's exactly what's occurring. A lot of people think, I thought too, that when you are in the area with, what's her name? Yosefka, it's actually technically Yosefka's partner. Yosefka isn't pregnant there. Yosefka is literally undergoing the changes of eyes on the inside from the cord itself. She's not having a child. She had one of the umbilical cords. And that's why when she describes about all the pain and everything else, that's what's literally going on. And like I said, what you come to find out, especially through the endings, the reason why we're able to even take on the moon presence is because we have assembled three aspects of this, and we consume all three, giving us enough insight, literally eyes on the inside. And it's crazy.
Are we gonna have a problem? Just drop
And to me, it's one of those situations. Again, it's not like he was like, oh, dude, let's copy Bloodborne's thing. I mean, they didn't do that at all. I'm just saying that it's a very interesting kind of similarity between the two, that it required essentially two failures, because that's kind of like in Bloodborne, we really do come to learn that Lawrence, who originally believed that the true way for a man to ascend was by the use of the blood, of the beast blood. But unfortunately, as he continued to use it and went through, he realized, all too late, unfortunately, that human beings could not deal with the beast blood, and that included himself. Which I think that's why. What's the dude he's one of the other hunters in the Hunter's Nightmare. That he's wearing horns, and Borodor or something. He's the one who killed Lawrence, and he's wearing Lawrence's literal headwear. And we get to see Lawrence's skull, what was underneath that, in the real version of like the real world, if you will. And that is the quote unquote the basis for the healing church. But the reason why he is burning in the cathedral, oh crap, when you see him, perfect, thank you, is because that's the punishment that was betrothed upon him within the the Hunter's Nightmare based upon the many cities that, especially Old Yarnum, that ended up having to burn. Whoops, sorry. Because of what he wanted. Well, I mean, Pella, I think actually in many ways, shape, or forms, I think we already have a lot of SCP inspiration.
We got douchebags.
You know, and I could even, dare I say, I would even make the case that you could easily take a couple of the different entities that found in the Warframe universe, right? And you could write them in as SCP entities, and they would fit absolutely perfectly within, you know, the context of that universe, if you will. Like many contexts, many things within Warframe. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining. Oh, I think Alad V might have some more to say about things. Oh, yeah, then Elden Ring, too, without question. I mean, you have the same type of thing. The difference, I think, in Elden Ring is that within Elden Ring's lore, we see a many different gods, that many different eldritch entities that seem like are trying to be contacted by any, you know, you have the blood god, you have the greater will, you have three fingers and whatever they represent against, you know, the essentially the frenzy. But you have all these different gods in that universe, where I'm in this one here. Like I said, I think it's more tied to Bloodborne, in that Bloodborne seems like the great ones are at least considered their own kind of, not, and I know they're not all the same thing, but within the purview of the game, they're all like something much greater than the human beings, if you will. And in the same breath, I think that same kind of concept is being relayed with the Man in the Wall and the Void in a very similar way, in that it's like this one entity that seems to have a lot of control over a lot of different things, and may even have control in areas that we don't necessarily understand right yet, but it's only because we don't have enough context to fully like flesh out like an actual legitimate full-fledged theory, if you will. Well, DJ, I'm glad you did. Glad you're able to join here. And remember, we do it every weekend for everybody, so every Sunday we get to come together and talk about the great game of Warframe and all the wonderful loresies that they give us. And I'll do my best to navigate us, and then you all can fill in the blanks. Everywhere I'm wrong. Tyler, I like that too. Yeah, there's that concept is another one that many different entities seem to be able to utilize, even when on the surface it doesn't seem like that should necessarily be the case. So we'll see if that ends up getting a little bit more connotation to it, Lenny.
No life.
What's that? Glad to hear it. That's all I want. Philippe, I know. That's what I said that earlier in the stream. I think that's why a lot of people are kind of bummed. Like, I don't think a lot of people we're just not ready to go. Right? We're just not ready to leave Holvania yet. And again, on the one end of things, like it sucks, but at the same time, I think there is something legitimate to be said and to really kind of take from the concept that a game that's as old as Warframe can have arguably one of the better updates, maybe even one of the best updates they've had in a long time, and if nothing else, an update that I'd say the majority of the players are more than happy hanging out in and getting more from, and would, like I said, kind of a little upset that we're leaving. I'm one of them. Well, then there's that. Then there's the whole Parvos Granom aspect. I mean, we got this little, just tiniest taste, you know, during a very, very small, you know, update after Whispers in the Walls. But there's like such a huge, there's so many important implications behind what that little tiny story means, and we haven't gone back. Oh, me too. I hope to see Wally in the future. I want to see him. I mean, everybody knows he's my favorite character in Warframe. I mean, that's just how it is. I just feel like they really hit a home run with how they've introduced him and how they've made. D could have easily given, especially with as old as the concept of the Man on the Wall is, DE could have easily given us every piece of the puzzle by now. We could unequivocally know exactly what the Man on the Wall is. But they have chosen to keep us guessing. And in fact, they've even done us one better in introducing a character that seems to have his own struggle with the Man on the Wall, that we are either under the concept of helping or not, depending on our decisions. It's a very, very cool thing. That's true. Parvos is technically the only one who could sit there and we could say, Parvos, what does Vulni Zata what is it? No, Voke Mara Loke mean? And they could tell us. Philippe, absolutely. But that will be after the next video. Because I think I found something even better that I want to speak about before even that. Tyler, you know, the funniest thing is when Ray's put that's exactly what I was thinking about saying. Don't forget to put the question mark. I'm glad somebody else did. We have to be proper here with our void tongue dialogue and speaking in the name of the Man on the Wall, of course. I have not done that. But I will say, I wonder, does anybody else wonder who the painter is? Because they seem to have some really intimate knowledge of how things are going on in Holvania. And when I say the painter, I'm talking about the person who paints all the murals.
about it.
Ah, so there are some who don't know of the painter yet. Look around after this newest update. There's all these murals painted all over Holvania. And they have some very, very, very interesting implications to them. Yes, the graffiti on the wall, yes. I thought that was Eleanor too, right?
Works for me.
But I'm not 100% certain about it. Yeah, their signature, in fact, is on it. That's one of the things that we have to try to figure out. The problem is it's not just Orican script, it's also an Orican signature, which makes discerning it not, let's say, the most exact science I've ever attempted to do. Yes, it is absolutely possible that she is one of the painters, but it doesn't necessarily mean that she is the painter. I believe that's kind of what we were talking about, is that it's almost certain, given what Temple said, that there will be a new kind of, let's say, if nothing else, not necessarily a new type of Warframe, but a new Excalibur that has additional aspects to it that take into consideration the personality and extra whatever aspects that Arthur brings to the table. Same thing with Eleanor. Same thing with Nova and Kaya. There is actually a room where you can get all the murals together.
Can we kill these guys? Please? Down! You guys care?
Coming. Where's Alice? Yep. Yep. That's supposed to be the thing that makes the vessels unique, but again, we really don't know what. The idea for me is, let's do one more set here. It seemed very much like that Entradi needed this place to be destroyed in order for the consciousness of the, kind of in the same way that we were able to shoot back using the vessel, right, to Arthur in Whispers in the Walls. I think that the idea was that by just killing them here, their personality would show up in the origin system within the vessels themselves, okay? But because we have opted not to do that and keep them alive, that aspect of what Entradi wanted to occur has not been allowed to occur. Again, that's just a theory, but, going back to it again, it's just kind of taking all the little pieces of information that we have and just putting them all together and seeing where the road leads. Well, it seems like there's other frames that can do that too. I just don't know that all of them can. Like Lavos apparently has had, which makes sense. Again, we've kind of talked about this with the alchemical nature, transmutation of metals, things of that ilk when it comes to Lavos specifically, them being able to transmute and change, the concept of certain biological or inorganic material and transmute into something else. Absolutely. And again, we don't really know. We know that Kaya had Entradi's notes. We don't know what were in those.
Drop dead already.
Well, Tyler, I mean, I don't necessarily know if you're that far off. I just don't know if the Orokin, maybe one Orokin, no, not all of them. Because it doesn't even, it seems like, to be quite honest, that even if the place isn't what I say, and it's really real, super real and everything else, and it's just going back in time and all that stuff, still doesn't change the fact that Holvania in particular is essentially exactly what you described, a petri dish. Well, Shotgun, I'm guessing almost in its entirety that the person that Kaya spoke to was the Indifference. But, as I mentioned before, whenever you go to look at within the labs and whatnot, I'm still of the impression that the Indifference has information that it's willing to offer to those that, it imparts any type of abilities to, and I think that could be one of the things that I don't think that Entradi drew all that stuff on the walls in Whispers in the Walls. I think you can make a very, very legitimate argument that while there are whispers that can be heard at all particular parts of the sanctum, that the true whispers in the walls are the information that's on the walls, that we're able to give information back to Entradi in order for him to create certain things, for him to bring certain things to fruition, for him to allow the Orokin to travel in the way they do and utilize the void in necessary ways, specifically for how it needed to be utilized. I think you can make an absolute case that it's the reason why whenever Entradi is described before the void, he kind of himself even implies that he's not really that great of a scientist, and that other scientists even like they scorned him. They thought he was an idiot, I'm willing to even concede that much of the void technology in the Untimed Door itself was made by Illyria, and that it was based upon maybe Entradi's concepts of what he believed about the void, right? But that she did the legwork in actually creating the things that allowed for his science to actually flourish and be utilized within the void. Well, Tyler, there you go. I mean, it's perfect. Can we trust a demon, though? Well, I mean, do we trust ourselves? Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, I'm sorry. I really believe that Illyria has a much bigger role in the discovery of the void, but it would be just like Entradi to take the credit for it after the fact. So, that's... Hey, I love that line. History abhors a paradox. Oh, my God. Look at that. I'm doing it, too. Get out of the way, Kaya.
Zero mass?
Let me move you over here. I know I can come over here. Yeah. Oh. I'm gonna walk up to the drifter and instantly ask him about forbidden knowledge, because that's what I'm looking at. It's like, this is a sage right here. What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? Tell me what you know. Oh. Well, that is another thing too. If anybody ever finds anything specifically within their travels and such like that, feel free. You can get me on Discord. Unfortunately, I don't have access to my old account, the D-Siege one, but it's just Siege and a D on Discord. Send me pictures. Send me something. Like, I'll verify whatever I can. But if you find something of interest, feel free. Feel free to send me something. Even, reply to a video or whatnot. Jeff, that was good. I appreciated the concept of not having to do shit myself. So I always love that. That is, the less work I have to do in a mission, the better, without question, for this guy. So when I bring people in, when I bring you in, that's your job. You have to win. Oh, Andreas, I agree with you. I'm saying this dude right here with the cloak on and the gear. If I see him anywhere, I'm going to walk up to him and ask him what sage knowledge that you have. God, I don't normally bask in my own looks, but I'm going to tell you something. It's nice. Mr. Siege, we're here about your car's extended warranty. That's true, Tyler. Yeah, the drifter knows a lot about kicking the shit out of himself. But with all that being said, everyone, I think we're going to be stopping the stream here today. Keep an eye out this week for that video. It will be done this week. And like I said, I do apologize, but I 100% believe that the fact that I decided to increase the scope and scale of this video is going to only increase your enjoyment of it that much more. And everybody always asks me for like longer videos and stuff, so you're about to get one. Oh yeah, okay, let's see. Oh shit. Okay. I see you. What's the mask? Because that wouldn't look bad on him either, except for I don't want to get rid of the beard. Fletcher, where are you at? Race, how did you get in? How did you figure out how to get in here? How are you able to do that? Oh, that's the Mesa Prime Pack mask. Okay, I was going to say, because I don't remember that one. That looks pretty sick, too. The eyes are looking really nice. Ray's, if you could explain to Guillermo de Silva Sousa how you were able to get into this lobby. How did you do that? Do you remember which one that we're in? I didn't think that was even possible. That being said, we have some fine-looking tenno here, don't we? See, it comes a little too close. I had another one too that I thought was cool. Where was that one? Oh. Well, just remember, everybody, that if you are looking to get in on the stream and whatnot, I always do it on Sunday, and I either start at like 12, in between 12 and like 2. Sometimes I make it 3, but usually it's in that time period. So if you're looking, even if I don't have something up, like saying, hey, it's going to be at this time, look for the stream to be around that time on Sunday. I've been pretty consistent here for a good little while now, actually. Yeah, I know, that's a shame. This guy, like, I was hoping to see that with the pants, holding the pants from side to side. I wonder if that's like copyrighted by him, MC Hammer, in the way that like you can't just do that. Fleshish Scarlet. Essentially, let's. Gam, can you get in? Can you figure out a way into this group here? Is it possible? Same way Ray's did it? I thought that was pretty amazing. Yeah, we're getting a little crew people in. I love it. I don't know if you can do it either. If I don't get you today, because I am going to have to hop off stream right now. I got some other things I have to take care of today. If I don't get you today, I promise we'll take a look at it the next week for certain. Check it out. See what you got going on. Oh, look at that. Yeah, look at that's looking good too. It's like a Matrix Angel. Yeah, I like that as well. So yeah, we got some good looking tenant right here. I feel like I got a lot of competition. No, I definitely want to see it. I just don't know how to get you in with everybody. That's all. But next week, I promise we will. Because like I said, I unfortunately got to go too. Warframe guy, what do you mean? That's it. Did I say it right? Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jeff. Matrix Angel. That's exactly what it looks like. I couldn't have. Like I said, that's exactly what I would have said it looked like. Very good one too. Okay, now we know. So just make sure every week when you come to stream, you got to bring your best looks.
And all my little power meters just spiked. Yay, void.
Let's see. Let me see your tennis face, Alice. Yeah, it's looking pretty hot. You're covering. Oh, whoa, okay. Now we're talking. Yeah, I do too. The eyes look great. I love that. That looks real good. Whoa. Well, I mean, they give you so many reasons to want to. Oh yeah, that's looking good too. To want to, you know, make your character look something fabulous. Why would you not? In fact, really? Are you're literally right here with us?
Trust it takes for me to do this, right?
Oh man. See, it's like sometimes Warframe, you know.
Am I alive?
You're right here with us? I can't see. That is weird.
Welcome back.
Oh
to the
yeah,
party
that's
in my head.
you got to give your character a full, you know, what they're all about. That's all fun of role playing. Otherwise, we'd all just be the same tenno. That's no fun. Yeah, that is strange. I mean, you're literally in the same group with us. That is weird. I do not. All right, well, take care. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that too. Give me a little shout out. I love it. We're going to check out this thing here real quick, but just for everybody else, I hope you enjoyed today's stream. We're pretty much just doing fashion at this point, so I'm not going to be getting into any more gameplay. I very much... Oh, the shotgun. How did you get in here? How are you guys doing? I didn't even think this was possible. Oh, look, the literal Jade Stalker version is literally with us. Let's see, did it work this time? Yeah, I can tell. I can see it does work very much. Let's see. You don't want me to rate your fit. I think they look great, but you don't want to do. I'm an old guy. What? I don't have good. Think about the color schemes that I use. Everybody. Black, white, and gray. I think you look great. I really do. I think all of these looks look fantastical. I mean, I'm thinking everybody's looking really, really. I think that there's all kinds of wonderful creativity going on here. In fact, as I look around now, I feel, even though I love my drifters look, it's obvious I'm the most plain and basic and boring out of all of them. Which, you know, that makes sense. It really does. What do you mean all that's different about you is green? You've got wings. Holy Chan, what's your in-game name again? I forgot. I apologize. Yeah, send it to me. I want to see it. We got some good looks here. There's no two ways around it. There's nothing. I don't find anything crimey about that. That's new Warframes very much inspire. And they do with me every single time a new one comes out, especially if it's one that I really like. So it may inspire you to change everything. I mean, everybody here is just looking fabulous. There's no two ways around it. God, that's looking really good. I like that. You know, I never could find a legitimate use for those the armor, but I think you did it. That's creative. The D-Siege Discord. It's actually, there's a link actually in the thing for the Discord itself. I can't believe that's, let me see. I like it. It's like rusted. It actually, you know what? It looks very much like the reactor at the end of Whispers in the Walls, but in the same breath, like a puppet-like, almost reminiscent to Lies of P. Oh. Merry Christmas. Oh, yeah. That's looking good. Mm-hmm. The Sevagoth looks awesome, but that whole skin has got... Oh, look, you got that armor on, too, and it works well as well. That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, all. Much as I want to keep doing this, I got some things I got to take care of. I do apologize. But hope you enjoyed today's stream. I hope you'll come back next week. And again, if you're interested, never forget that we do a member stream on Saturdays, too. It's a little bit more intimate, if you will, where we're able to do a couple other things, too, that we can't really do normally in a regular stream. So that's just something else out there for you. With that being said, like I said, I will have a video out for you this week. I promise, and I'm certain that you're going to be happy with it. Sending Girl, absolutely. Yep, you can absolutely just add me as a. You have my name. It's just a D-Siege. Add me as a friend. I will accept it. So, with that being said, and amongst all of this beauty to my right and left, I hope you all have a wonderful day today, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk at you all in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.